Lucy from Futures Public Radio. Today I'm interviewing James Kennedy, who's the author of the book Order of Odd Fish and the Second Newbery Film Fest curator.
Thank you so much for having me on Futures Public Radio, and hi everybody at International School of Beijing.
James, your book, The Order of Odd Fish, is really unique. Where'd you get the idea for it?
Thank you so much for saying The Order of Odd Fish is interesting. You asked me where the ideas came from. Ideas for me come from all kinds of places. I read a lot of science fiction and fantasy growing up, but I noticed and watched a lot of movies, but I noticed it was always the same story again and again about a young man who's the chosen one, who's going to save the world. And so I thought, what if I reversed everything about that, just did the opposite, made it be about a young girl who's a cursed one, who's going to end the world. And I had never seen that kind of story before, so that seemed interesting. And also, I grew up reading a lot of books like Lord of the Rings or Narnia, but it seemed that those fantasy novels, people were always going off into the forest, they're climbing up and down mountains and camping out and things like that, and they're always kind of set in rural areas, and I wanted to do a fantasy that was set in an urban area, and that's where I came up with the idea of Eldritch City, which is the place where most of the story takes place. Other smaller ideas, like character ideas, some of them was like one time I was watching the news, but Bill Gates, the CEO of Microsoft, got a pie in the face. And so somebody just walked up to him in the street in Belgium and put a pie in his face. I looked into that and I started reading newspaper articles about it. I noticed that the person who did it to him was only identified as a Belgian prankster. His real name was Noel Godin, but in newspaper articles always called him a Belgian prankster, a Belgian prankster. And then I saw more instances of this Belgian prankster showing up in the news. Like at one point, a Belgian prankster put all of Belgium up for sale on eBay, or various other pranks. And apparently this guy went all over Europe putting pies in the faces of people he didn't like. I thought that sounded like a name of a supervillain, the Belgian prankster, and something that's kind of absurd and villainous. So that's where the Belgian prankster, who's the villain of the Order of Odd Fish, that's where that came from.
Was there some part of your life that made you want to become an author?
I'd always wanted to be a writer. There was no time when I decided, oh, this is something I want to do. It's always something I kind of wanted. My mom was looking through some old boxes a couple years ago, and she found a bunch of books that I'd written as a kid. And here's a couple pages from them now that I wrote and illustrated, and I put them up on my blog. And one of the things that I was surprised by is that my writing style and my sensibility hasn't changed much since then. I still like to write about fantastical things and monsters and science fiction and fantasy.
Why or how did you become the curator of the Second Newbery Film Festival?
Well, first, what the 92nd Newbery Film Festival is it's an annual video contest I do, which young filmmakers, like your age, make short movies that tell the entire story of Newbery-winning books in about 90 seconds. Not book trailers. Your challenge is to dramatize the entire story of the book in about 90 seconds. Every year, we screen the best movies from you in New York, Brooklyn, Chicago, San Francisco, Oakland, Portland. The videos we've gotten from kids over the past 3 years have been ingenious, hilarious, and impressive, from musicals, to stop-motion animation, to puppet shows, to Minecraft. The weirder your movie, the better. Like, how about making Charlotte's Web into a black and white horror movie? Or an all-robot version of Ramona and Her Father? Or Because of Winn-Dixie with a giant alien slug instead of a dog? You get the idea. You can find out complete rules and details, plus links to some great entries at 92ndnewbery.com. I came up with this idea because I was hanging out with my niece and nephew and we made a Wrinkle in Time video for fun one day, and then we put it online and it got a good response. We thought we could make a film festival out of this. And so we put out an invitation for entries, and the first year we showed the best ones in New York City and Chicago and Portland, and since then, 7 years later, we're still doing the film festival. It's grown to 14 cities all across the United States. I get hundreds of entries a year, but I would love to get some entries from your school this year.
If I were pointing two drills at you and you had to choose what Newbery Award-winning book you would choose to make a film out of, which one?
I would make a 92nd Newbery movie of the book Winged Girl of Knossos by Eric Berry, which won a Newbery Honor in 1934.
It's a retelling of the myth of the Minotaur, and the myth of Icarus and his wings. But the Icarus character is a girl and she does not fall from the sky. She flies with wings she created with her father Daedalus.
It's a fun, fast-paced adventure that puts a new twist on those Greek myths, rich with historical detail about life in ancient Crete.
It's a great book, but nobody has ever made a 92nd Newbery of it. Probably because it's been out of print for a long time. But it just got reissued. I love it. You should read it and make a movie of it.
92nd Newbery. Yeah.
92nd Newbery. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What is your long-term mission? What do you see as the future of the 92nd Newbery Film Fest? Exterminate!
I don't know what the long-term future of the 92nd Newbery is. I've been doing it for 7 years. We're in 14 cities now. Maybe it'd be fun to expand to even more cities, even take it international. What do people get out of it? I think it's just fun. It's fun to make movies. It's fun to see, to have big events in which like hundreds of people come to watch the movies and enjoy them and recognize the young filmmakers who make them. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this interview.
Exterminate!